Don't ask me to talk.
It's Don't Ask Me to Talk. I am Eric Ryder, and you are?
Stacy Heller. Hello.
And you sounded like you were in a tunnel there for a second.
Oh, well, I'm not in a tunnel, but I am at my happy place, my lake house.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's like sunny and the birds are dive bombing me because I keep trying to pick my neighbor's peonies and I guess there's a nest right there. And so I feel like I'm living out the Hitchcock movie, The Birds.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't want your baby. I just want these peonies.
That reminds me, I recently found a bird's nest in my backyard on the ground. I accidentally mowed over this nest. I had no idea it was there. And but the nest was perfectly intact because it just went, the mower just went over it, but all the surrounding camouflage like disappeared. And I felt really bad, but I had no idea that, you know, there would be I knew that some birds probably made their nests on the ground. You know, there's famously many flightless birds, but I saw the bird that this nest belonged to. A, she was not stoked that that I mowed over her nest, and B, this bird could fly. So I was like, why would you put this on the ground where anybody could just step on it? And it had like 3 little eggs in it, and it was super cute. And then, so I'm like, okay, well, in a few days, the grass will grow back. Hopefully the bird is okay, and we'll just keep our distance from it. And I noticed it like flying back and forth. And I was keeping an eye on it, making sure everything was okay. And then after a few days, I didn't see the mama bird anymore. And I'm like, uh-oh, I hope mama bird didn't abandon these eggs. But if so, tiny omelets. And but then I went back and checked, and all the eggs were gone. So this left me with the question, can a bird move the eggs to a different nest?
Oh, like maybe she had been feathering a new nest and she was like, you know what? Here, this neighborhood is for the birds.
Right. Or not for the birds.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, because they were tiny eggs, but the bird itself was tiny. So I've never seen like a bird pick up an egg before. So I have no idea if either we had like a raccoon like come through the backyard and just say, ooh, snack time, or if the bird was somehow able to like pack up and move to a new nest. I am in awe and very confused by nature, obviously.
3 eggs, 2 worms, 1 me.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the exciting thing that's happened in my life recently.
Well,
but
I mean,
it's funny that both of our nature run-ins have been with birds.
Totally. Well, and the where we have our house, we have quail all over the place, and I'm like, aren't quail eggs a delicacy?
Mm.
And speaking of little omelets, and I'm like, geez Louise, like I could have like a side hustle selling quail eggs. But, you know, that just seems wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, if you're new to the show, then guess what? This is exactly what you're in store for.
That's right. Egg talk. Every episode, we do a deep dive on eggs. The various different kinds, how you can prepare them if you eat eggs.
Right, exactly.
We really come out of our shell.
Very much. I don't know. I think we're starting to crack up a little bit.
Possibly.
Anyway.
No, we are your podcast pals. We're here every week to bring you fun nonsense and just our random views on random topics, essentially. So we're here to keep you company for roughly an hour.
Yep, and it is excellent content. Sometimes,
Back
as we
in the
say,
tunnel there for a sec.
Oh, Sometimes sometimes it is entertaining, sometimes it's edutaining, which is both. Um, yeah, it's just good stuff. Um, you can actually, if you need more good happiness, non-political, just good, plain fun uh, content in your life, you can actually find past episodes of the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Don't Ask Me to Talk.
It would be excellent if you did. See,
Yes,
you
it
thought we
would.
were done with the egg buns, but oh boy, you're in for a surprise.
You are not going to get over that easy.
No way.
Remember, you can text or call us also at 475 999 2726. As I keep begging listeners, please, just so I know that the number works, please call, text, let us know what you think. Interestingly, I did hear from a listener who loved our conversation a couple episodes ago and had some awesome contents. I'll have to find that and share with you what she said. But it was nice to know that somebody's out there listening.
Absolutely. And do we have an email?
Do we have an email?
Yeah.
Are
we still working on that?
I think I'm still working on that.
Okay.
I think my ADHD, I'm like, I meant to do that, but did I do that? I don't know if I did that.
Well, we do have an Instagram and we do have a Facebook. So if you're on
Yes.
those, feel free to please like the pages and feel free to comment. Each episode, we do post the episode on our social media, and so feel free to leave us comments there, or you can even slide into our DMs.
As opposed to slipping into our DMs, which I mistakenly said a while back.
Right.
I also want to let people know that I have another show called Stacy Connects, and out this week on June 25th is, or I guess it's technically next week, next Tuesday. We did a special episode of Don't Ask Me to Talk so that I could introduce it to my listeners that don't know that I have this second show with Eric. So if you can't get enough of us, then go listen to Stacy Connects. The episode comes out on the 25th, also wherever you listen to your podcasts. So
that was a fun episode. I remember doing that with you. That episode of Stacy Connects. Have no memory of what we talked about, so I'm going to have to go back and listen to it as well. I know we somehow picked the topic and did our thing, but it is as if it was completely erased from my reality. So.
Yep, 100%. It's like having the Men in Black, like, you forgot this.
That's right. Yeah.
But hey, you know what? We don't forget to celebrate some of the ridiculous high holidays that happen each month. And we always start out with a few month-long observations, like, for instance, Audiobook Appreciation Month that happens in June. So remember when audiobooks were huge? Did you listen to them, Eric?
I did. Yeah. I used to get the cassettes initially and then CDs. And pre-podcast, they really were the proto-podcasts, something for your commute that wasn't, just the jams they were playing on the radio or whatever, CDs you happen to have floating around in your car.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a great way to pass the time, especially on road trips and stuff. I find now that I pretty much exclusively on road trips listen to podcasts, but I should get back into checking out some audiobooks because I found it was a great way to check out books.
Totally. And it's funny you say that because I too normally listen to podcasts when I'm driving over here. It's about a 4.5 hour drive if I do the speed limit. And I know exactly how many, like, okay, it's, 3 Smartless podcasts and
Right.
2, whatever. Um, but I started listening to the book by Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk or something,
Okay.
um, because I was gonna be here alone for a week, and it's this idea of, uh, monks, are able to sort of be chill and embrace nothingness. And since I was going to be here alone without work, without cats, without kids, without my husband, I was like, I need to embrace nothingness. And the problem is his voice is very soothing. And I was like,
Do
so
not operate heavy machinery while while soothing
exactly.
out to a monk autobiography, I guess.
Exactly.
I get
But
it.
generally, I do like it when the author narrates the audiobook because there
Yes.
is an inflection and you can truly hear their voice. And that's a really fun thing.
Yeah, you know what? The thing is, for me, my car, I changed cars from the last time I listened to an audiobook. It doesn't have a CD player in it. So I thought at one point, okay, I'll, digitize some of my audiobooks and put those on my phone because that's what I'm typically listening to in the car now.
Yep.
But the problem was that it didn't have a great way of like putting these as audiobooks, so it ends up in the music as like
Oh,
untitled stuff. And then, if you're like me and you put like music on shuffle, you'll be like jamming out to like the latest national tune, and then suddenly it's like a random chapter from a Sherlock Holmes story.
right. I dreamt I went to Manderley again last night, and you're
Right.
like, how did Rebecca
Mm.
get in there?
Pray continue. Um, but yeah, it's I think they've hopefully upgraded the software so it categorizes that stuff a little better. But last time I tried it, it was a mess. So
Yeah. Well, and I found this Jay Shetty book on Spotify. So that
right.
opened my eyes to the fact that I'm like, oh, there are books on Spotify. Like, that's interesting.
And yeah, there's books on Spotify, and there's, obviously Audible is a service that
Yep.
it does stuff like that. But for me, I don't want to use up all my data like streaming an audiobook. And B, it just, I've got lots of these audiobooks laying around that I haven't even gotten through yet.
Oh, well, yeah.
So
So,
I want to concentrate on that. And yet, we try and make things better, and sometimes we make things worse.
yeah, well, it happens.
That's
Um,
life.
speaking of taking bad things and making them better, lemons. It's lemon month. See what I did
Ooh.
there?
Yes, take a
You
lemon and
can
make lemonade.
exactly. So lemon has become my friend. So here's the
Lemon.
yep, there you go.
Remember that?
Yes.
Anybody that thinks I'm in, some people right now are like, "Oh yeah, I remember that," and some people are like, "This guy is just cracked. He's completely lost his mind." But there was a U2 song that the
Yes.
whole chorus basically was Bono doing the falsetto.
Of lemon.
Lemon.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So anyway,
See? Now you know, people. If you know, you know. Isn't that like a another shortened thing?
ding
Like
ding ding. Right.
IFK,
The more you know.
IFK. Right. Anyway, so Pete and I, since pretty much forever, have had Tuesday night date nights. It's always been our night to go on a date when we had
Mm.
kids, before we had kids. And more recently,
Why
we used to go
Tuesday
out.
though? That seems like kind of an odd day to
Thank you
choose.
for asking. So it was strategic because what we found is that Friday and Saturday nights were like typically when we'd get a babysitter and we'd be going out with friends, right?
Hmm.
It was more like going to the restaurant that we thought was really cool or going to somebody's house to hang out or whatever it was. But Tuesday nights was about us. And we never wanted to go someplace fancy or expensive. We wanted to go, we would always end up going to the same place over the years. We'd pick a favorite, and people got to know us, and they were chatty and cordial, knew what we liked, but generally left us alone, because it was like, hey, how are you doing, really? Or, hey, it's time to start thinking about, where are we going to go for Thanksgiving? Or what should we get the kids for Christmas? Or let's look at our, vacation time and where are we going to go? And so it was just a random night that it was easy to find a babysitter. And, it wasn't a late night. And we got really smart. We had a college where we lived when the kids were much younger. And we had a college student that would come over on Tuesday nights. I would make a big dinner for the kids and for her. So she got a home cooked meal that she could take all the leftovers. And she would bring her laundry and do her laundry at our house. And so she was stoked. Like, we also paid her. But it worked out great. Yeah. Well, yes, of course. But it worked out great. And so Tuesday night has just become our night that we do this. And it's just has stayed with us. Well, in the past 6 months or so, Pete has always wanted to learn bartending skills. He's always said, I'd love to own like a bar or something. So during this work hiatus that he's in, he went and he got certified as a bartender. And so on Tuesdays now, each week, he comes up with a new cocktail that he makes, and he's been trying out all these cocktails. And the lemon comes in because a lot of them have lemon. Like lemon.
Like limoncello?
Like limoncello, some of the drinks that he's made. If you follow me, and no, I'm not trying to get followers, but the best thing that you can do is follow me on my One Smart Cookie Instagram account, because we put, I put each time the recipes and what we've had. So, like we've done, of course, last week's, it didn't have lemon. Last week was the Pink Lady.
You mean it didn't have lemon?
It didn't have lemon. We did have the Black Cat that had lemon, the Gin Meower. These were in honor of our cat that had been attacked by a bobcat. We were celebrating the fact that it's still alive. We also had something called the Aviation, not made with aviation gin. And that was delicious. So there's just been this interesting theme, like the casino. What else did we have? We had the breakfast at Tiffany's that had lemon. It's been a theme. So kind of love it. And the drinks have been really fun, like the Hemingway daiquiri. Like there's some really cool drinks out there. So talk about turning lemons into lemonade. We've turned them into way more than just lemonade.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're already due for a break here. So let's do that. And then when we come back, we can talk about some birthdays and maybe actually talk about one or two more holidays here.
Love it. All right, let's take a break. I'll have a drink.
Stay tuned.
I'm not famous or connected or an influencer. I'm Stacey Heller of Stacey Connects, and I love to talk with strangers, friends, and family. So I started a podcast about making connections through conversation, asking questions instead of making assumptions, and addressing the elephant in any room. I also often go on tangents that beg the question, where is she going with this? Stacey Connects is meant to be enlightening and entertaining, or as I like to call it, edutainment. Listen, enjoy, and subscribe to Stacey Connects wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And we're back with Don't Ask Me to Talk. I'm Eric Ryder.
I'm Stacey Heller, and that was barely enough time to even take a sip.
You take long sips.
On this, the highest of holidays, the summer solstice.
That's right. Summer solstice is this week. Any big plans?
It's today.
Well, depending, people listen to this at all different times.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
if you're listening to it If you're listening to it on June 20th, 2024, it's today. If you're
Fantastic.
not, okay.
Longest day of the year.
Yeah. It's kind of exciting. But you know what's weird about that? It's the longest day of the year. And then, all summer you're like, oh, it's so great. It's light for so long. But it's like actually the light's beginning to fade.
That's right. So how do you look at it? Half empty or half full, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. So it's also International Surfing Day. I'm curious. Have you ever been surfing?
Hey, what a perfect day for international surfing to be on the summer solstice. I've never been surfing, but I would imagine I would want as much daylight so I could swim back to the shore at a very slow pace once I fall off and lose my surfboard. There's more chance of being seen by the rescue copters. So I say good going, International Surfing Day Association. For putting it on the longest day of the year.
Right. Well, and the next day, the 21st, is National Selfie Day. And I'm so glad.
That's how I fell off the surfboard and almost drowned trying to get that selfie.
Exactly. I'm like,
the guy next to me says,
way.
You could have green screened this. Now you tell me.
Totally. There is okay, never say never. And also, I don't think I will ever go surfing. And selfies, you can tell how old somebody is, like what generation they're from, by when they're doing a selfie, how high or low, like where they hold their phone. Like I'm part of the generation where I hold my phone up high.
Trying to get the most flattering angle, of course.
100%. And, and then I watched my daughters, and even the difference between them, like 5-year difference in age or whatever it is, like how they hold their phones when they're doing a selfie. I'm like, wow, fascinating. So yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm just the worst at selfies, so I try to avoid them. If I was surfing, I would want some kind of documentation of the first and last time that this has happened.
Here lies Eric.
That's right. I just, spread my ashes at sea, but you got to get me back to make the ashes to spread them.
So much for Eric Moondoggy.
Well, there you go. Also,
which,
but speaking of dogs, take your dog to work day. So, I mean, I see those videos sometimes of dogs out there, riding the waves, and I think, shut up. How is a dog, so much more capable than I am? It makes me feel embarrassed rather than.
It's a lower center of gravity.
Well, there you go.
That's what I'm telling myself. Well, and here's the deal. It's also International Yoga Day on the 21st. And so you can do downward facing dog, right?
Right.
With your dog.
There you go. And you know what? It's almost as if you planned this here, because National Limoncello Day, after all that talk about lemons in your drinks, then right there. And National Onion Ring Day. I'm not sure how those two would mix, but onion rings don't mix with dogs. So just a friendly reminder to keep your onion rings away from your dogs.
Dogs can't eat onions?
They're not supposed to have onions or garlic. So yeah.
Interesting. Is that because of bad breath or because of same reason they shouldn't have chocolate?
Well, the same reason that they shouldn't enjoy National Chocolate Pudding Day coming up on the 25th.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just bad for them.
All right. The one last holiday that I want to mention, because of the interesting wording of it, is on the 24th. It is Please Take My Children to Work Day. Now, so I don't know if that's please take my children to work day.
Take my children to your work day.
Right. Exactly. So I'm going to have to look that one up for more details, because the please, it's like that joke that was it Henny Youngman used to do.
Take my wife,
take my
please.
wife, please.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, hey, June birthdays. Who do you want to shout out? How about Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys?
Yeah, what an amazing songwriter.
And
Especially amazing with Brian Wilson that he was deaf in one ear. And
right?
they really did some amazing stuff with their music, like Pet Sounds.
Oh my
And
gosh. I mean, that's an iconic.
the Smile record and all that, is like how does a guy that can only hear in mono manage to do this really, fantastic, innovative music, that was doing
Yep.
crazy stuff with stereo and yeah, pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's also Cyndi Lauper's birthday on the 20th, and she just announced recently that she's doing her farewell tour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
I
think
don't know if she's doing like one of those farewell tours, like, Elton John, where it's like the longest farewell ever, but
right.
she seems like a practical woman to me. And I think she is probably not doing that. But yeah,
I
she's going on a farewell tour.
She seems a little young to go on
I
a,
know.
but I guess she just wants to have fun now.
She does just want to have fun. And she is an LGBTQ icon. Like she's done cruises and stuff that are for the LGBTQ plus community. Like she is a total icon and supportive, which I mean, it's Pride Month. So way to go,
Absolutely.
Cindy.
Yeah. Well, she was
Uh,
very innovative with the the flashy colors and the bright rainbow aesthetic early on.
Yep. Totally. Well, and it was always a war of who's more talented, Cyndi Lauper or Madonna, sort of like the Christina Aguilera versus Britney Spears vibe.
Yeah, I think for like a year there
Right.
was that kind of rivalry, probably not between them, but in the
No.
media because media always likes to play up stuff like that to sell more magazines, and now they're gone. So
Right.
it doesn't
Well,
matter.
exactly. And, of course, between women. It's also Sartre's birthday, Jean-Paul Sartre, the philosopher. I got nothing either.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm like, which one is he? Like, like, isn't Descartes, I think, therefore I am? I don't know. My son is really into the philosophers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't really know. Also Jane Russell's birthday. And I think she's the cross your heart bra lady, which is a shame because she was also like a big movie actress. And to be reduced for a certain generation to being the bra lady is kind of a bummer.
Yes.
Just saying.
Right. Just to circle back real quick. Did you have a favorite Beach Boys song?
Ooh. Oh gosh.
I got to
I'll
say,
have to
when I was growing up, I hated the Beach Boys because it was all like, everybody's gone surfing. It was that kind of stuff. And we'll have fun. All that. So I couldn't stand it. I just felt like it was like commercial jingles or whatever, But as I got older and started hearing some of the other more innovative stuff that Brian Wilson did, I really grew to appreciate them. And like, Good Vibrations, what a like very cool like masterpiece that song is, way ahead of its time. And
I like God Only Knows.
absolutely,
God Only Knows.
I was gonna choose that as well. That you didn't. You were singing a whole different song there, but that is the title.
Yes, it is a totally different song, but I do love that song.
Yes, I think that's possibly the greatest love song ever written. Which is saying something because 90% of pop music is love songs. So,
Right.
yeah, if you can do that, then and he's got stiff competition from Lionel Richie, who also shares his birthday.
Yeah.
On the 20th. But yeah, I was just thinking about that, like how like the Beach Boys had these two extremes, where it was like just bubblegum fluff to like the most cutting edge stuff in their career. Not a lot of bands or artists do that,
Totally.
There's
And
very
stick
few.
together.
Yeah.
Like, usually that means that, some of the members are like, I want to do this. And, there's creative differences, but they managed to really stay together for the most part.
Well, they had their ups and downs and and members leaving the group and, family squabbles and all that stuff. I mean, you could really make a soap opera out of the Beach Boys
right.
story, no doubt.
Like the Californians.
Right.
Without all of the mentions of like, so like I was on the 18 and then I, that skit from SNL?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
It's kind of a one joke thing that they kind of did for like every week for like a whole season, it seemed like.
I know. And it's become beloved. So
I guess so.
Speaking of beloved, Meryl Streep, you either love her or you hate her.
Can't you be indifferent?
Well, you know what, Eric? Because it's you, yes, you can be indifferent.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes I love or hate ads, but most of the time I'm just indifferent to them. And hopefully folks out there will love these ads and not hate them. But it's okay if you're indifferent to them. We're going to come back on Don't Ask Me to Talk. How do you like that segue?
That was great.
And then we're going to dive
right back.
We're going to dive into our amazing topic for the week, which is
Don't ask me to talk.
Museums.
Yay!
Woo! We're cultured.
Have you ever considered working with an image consultant or stylist, but were worried about what the experience would be like? If that sounds like you, then Michael Bruce Image Consulting is here to help. They've worked with thousands of people, and many of those individuals have shared their experiences by way of style stories. Go to michaelbruceimageconsulting.com/style stories and check out what their delighted clients have to say about their experiences.
That's right. It's Don't Ask Me to Talk. I am Eric Ryder.
I am Stacey Heller. And before we get into our topic, I wanted to circle back at the very top of the program. We were talking about
Birds.
Eric's, and the nest.
Lemons.
Well, that too. But I found out that birds can relocate their eggs when they sense danger or need to find a safer location for food and shelter. So there is a very good chance that your bird friend was like, I'm out of here, and set up a new nest and moved the eggs.
Well, that is reassuring. I was going to say I'm slightly offended that she sensed danger, but I did mow right over her nest. So
Exactly.
She may have been right on the money with the danger thing there. So again, my apologies to the bird kingdom.
She's not a dodo bird.
Right. How do they do it? Does it say they pick them up in their talons, or do they like swallow the eggs or something?
Some of them, it looks like they can do it with, let's see, where is it? How? They can't physically carry the eggs. Instead, they use their beaks to carefully pick them up.
Okay. Yeah. So they
pick
it
it
up in the mouth.
requires a gentle touch, obviously.
Right.
So, they can't, when they're flying, they can't say like, go around. So anyway, all right, museums. So here was the vision. I love that the wheel of topics is not completely arbitrary. It's me coming up with debates, hot takes, questions, etc. So the thought behind the museums question is whether it can be twofold. You're in your own hometown, right? And do you even go to museums? Because so many of us aren't tourists in our own hometowns. And if you do, what kind of a museum are you going to? And now I'm not talking about necessarily like if you have a kid, like because that, you're always looking for an activity to take your kids to. But like it's your own volition. And then let's say you're traveling to another city, another state, another country. Do you go to the museums? And what type do you go to? So, so that's kind of where my question comes from.
All right. And my answer to all that is yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So, um, so you'll go to both history and art museums.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Do you have a favorite that you like to go to?
Yeah. Do you mean a favorite of those two types of museums? Now, there's many other types of museums. Or do you mean a favorite museum?
Well, I guess I mean both. Like, it's funny. My mind is going to hold your thought for a second because I'm going to follow my loose thread thought here. I think about New York, and New York has obviously the National History Museum, and that's like an amazing thing to go through, and it's or Natural History Museum, not
Right.
national. And like that's an amazing museum. However, I'm more inclined to go to the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, or the Guggenheim because it's kind of a cool thing, or maybe the Met. So art really speaks to me. Plus, there's all sorts of really small museums that are really interesting and random. Then I think about like Washington, D.C., and there's like, the Spy Museum, and there's all these history museums that are really, really interesting. The Aerospace Museum. And so those are really interesting. In Seattle, I think I've mostly done like Seattle Art Museum,
Mhm.
and I've also done the outdoor what is it called? The outdoor museum, where it's the huge ground sculpture down near the water, Olympic Sculpture Park.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Which is, I
it's
think that's
almost,
part of the part of Sam.
yes, I think it is too.
Yeah.
And that one is super cool, by the way. If you're looking for a great place to like have a senior photo or have like a cute couples photo or something,
Last time my
there's,
sister was in town, we went there. So,
yeah,
yep.
it's cool, right?
Yeah.
And something about being outdoors and seeing these monumental, like, a giant accounting eraser from years past, like just perched is like an interesting thing. So it's almost like within the states, there's certain areas that it's like, oh, there's a lot of history here, and it's fun to go to the history museums.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah. So if you had to choose between one or another, what would you be more inclined to choose? Like if it's like, okay, we have a 2-hour window and you can go to a museum, what kind of museum would you choose?
Again, I think it really varies on where you're at. Now, I've got we've got a lot of great museums in Tacoma. I love the ones in Seattle, but I also love the ones in Tacoma. And what I really like is that they tend to be like great activities for about an hour and a half. They're not too big, so you can really take in a whole museum. But the Washington State History Museum is fantastic. They've had like lots of great exhibits, and they've got a dedicated model train that it has like a good chunk of the region like represented in models, and then you can push a button and the train goes around it. So you see
That's
like
so cool.
yeah, like Union Station and various different buildings from Tacoma, but I think it goes up to Auburn as well. So yeah, that's pretty fun thing to visit each time I go. But also just love their exhibits and like the various stuff that they've had with history from Washington State. I always enjoy that. We've got a great car museum, which is just like a ton of cars from over the years. So in a way, it's historical. But they've really got like one or two of everything. So you see like almost every car ever made in this country, and so a bunch of imports as well. So
I'll have to tell my son about that one. He'd be totally into that.
Yeah, it's called the LeMay Automobile Museum, and it's really fun. That's a good one to visit. We've got, of course, the Glass Museum, which is
Chihuly.
there's a whole bunch of Chihuly artworks because he's originally from Tacoma. And then they have a hot shop, so you can actually go in and see visiting artists as they create new works of art, which is really cool. Like years ago, I went to a performance on Halloween of a little bit of Dante's Inferno.
Oh my gosh.
Which was perfect because in the hot shop, it's really, it's hot. And, it just had this great kind of hellish vibe that was perfect for Halloween. So that's a great one. And then TAM, Tacoma Art Museum, is a lot of fun. But a little hidden gem that I recently visited was the Tacoma History Museum, which just focuses on Tacoma history. So
interesting.
They had what's it called? I can't remember the name of the exhibit, but it was basically all about fashion over the last 150 years in Tacoma. And so
really?
Yeah. So it's like they had like a bunch of the old dresses with the bustles and stuff. And that's a free museum. So, and it's not very big. So if you got like 20 minutes, you can pop in and enjoy that. So I tend to enjoy little museums. I think it's just, I love being able to see a whole thing and get out of there and not feel like, oh, I'm exhausted.
Yes.
Whereas like some of the museums that I've been to, which are, without a doubt, have more things of interest for a lot of people, I think. Like I've been to the British Museum, which is, a whole bunch, and not to get into any of the controversy over the British Museum, but it is a fascinating place. Just empirically, it's got a whole bunch of fascinating exhibits. And the thing that I found most fascinating last time I was there was this discovery of a early British, I want to say Anglo-Saxon, not a king, but like a lord, where they found like a whole ship, basically, like a burial ship. Yeah. And so then they found a bunch of armor and treasures and stuff, and it was really cool. So that I think, people talk about like the Egyptian stuff and all that stuff, but I think that they really shine with the stuff that they've been able to uncover archaeologically in their home country. So
right. Well, like, you bring up the UK. When Will, my son, was doing a summer program, we went to visit him because, of course, and I loved the Churchill war rooms. Like going down and seeing what, where everybody operated and, what was going on, and getting some history. I mean, it's crazy. That it was like, okay, well, it's over now, and everybody just left. I'm like, are we not going to pack it up? Like right down to the sugar cubes that like some lieutenant or colonel or whatever wife gave him for his coffee.
I'll have to check that out because I don't think I visited that, but I did really enjoy the Imperial War Museum. I don't know if you made it to that. Nope. But that's got a bunch of like old tanks and cars and like everything to do with the various wars, essentially, that the UK has been involved with.
You would love this one. This one was like a surprise. Like we were like, yeah, we should go to this. And we went and I was like, this is one of the best museums that I've been to. And, and that's the surprising thing. Like, you know, I could make an argument that, I mean, art is essentially representing what's going on in
Mhm.
politics, society, literature, etc., in culture in general. So art museums are in theory history museums. I mean, like look at cave paintings, right? Um and so there is that. But you're right, depending on where you are, if you want to know more and understand more about the culture, going to some of these small museums in countries or places, like even in Seattle, going into the International District and, going to the the Asian Museum. I can't think what it's called. Um, it's like, oh, this is so interesting to learn about these things, especially during like the internment that was happening, and just like you get a greater sense of um, not even like big parts of culture, but also
Mhm.
like the the minority experience, like of groups of people.
Yeah. And one thing I love about like the UK and Ireland too is with the museums is that they're all free, which is
Yep.
nice. Now you'll have to pay if there's like some special exhibit to get to that part of it, but most of the museum is free, and it's really cool. So they've got some brilliant natural history museums in both the UK and in Ireland. And again, you just walk in and enjoy, and it's amazing. And it's a great way to spend an afternoon if you're on a trip, I find. So I think I'm leaning towards history museums. I mean, I've seen some of the greatest works of art. I went to the Louvre when I turned 17. I went on a trip to France and got to go there, and it was great. I'm glad I did it once, but I was a little bored, to be honest. After a
Yeah.
while, just seeing painting after painting after painting. And same thing going to the Smithsonian in DC, saw some amazing works of art, but I was never more, excited in a museum than seeing like historic, uh, stuff like artifacts and stuff. So I'm leaning
Yep.
history.
You know what? Considering the fact that I am a huge art lover, collector, I come from a long line of artists and of aficionados of art and everything. I don't disagree with you. I find that it's awesome seeing these pieces of work there, but the bigger the museum and the more famous the pieces of artwork, the harder it is to really see them and appreciate them. So, you know, I don't disagree. I do love uncovering stories and learning more about things. And I will say, probably the best art museum I've ever been to is the Art Institute of Chicago. Um, that had a lot of modern art, which I'm a big fan of. And it, even when crowded, it didn't feel like some of these other museums can. Like you could actually see the artwork and appreciate it. But you're right. I'm sort of into these more quirky museums. Like heck, in Seattle, I think there's even a pinball museum.
Yeah, yeah, and
Right?
San Francisco has a great museum that's all old arcade games. From like the early 1900s. That's a fun thing to visit as well. So, yeah, I'm leaning history. I was just thinking about while you were talking and listening, of course, but
Of course.
also that sparked the thought that when I went to France on that trip when I was 17, like I said, I went to Da Vinci's house and Monet's house, and I
Mhm.
remember that they don't even have their artwork there though, because those are all often art museums. But those
Right.
two museums that were just their homes preserved were way more fascinating to me than their actual artwork. And Monet's house had a lot of like Japanese tapestry he's hanging up. I remember that, but moreover, just like the historic nature of the homes and the grounds and stuff was way more fascinating to me. So I think
Totally.
I think we've settled it.
I think we have. There you go.
Well-
Hey, listeners, if you have a favorite museum from someplace that you visited or someplace that's in your own hometown, tell us about it. You can shoot us a slide into our DMs at Don't Ask Me to Talk, or don't forget, you can always text or leave a voicemail at 475-999-2726. Eric and I get around, and so do our listeners. So we'd love to hear what some of your favorite museums are.
I'm not sure that sounds right, but you know what? We got to take a break. We'll come right back, and we're going to figure out what we're talking about next week.
You don't want to get around, Eric?
Stay tuned.
Do you get in your own way when it comes to your business? Look, we all get in our own heads sometimes. Maybe you need a new perspective. I'm a creative who connects people with ideas, potential, and most importantly, their people. Whether through my consulting sessions or content creation and design, I help clients get out of their heads and back to business. My client Pete Connolly sums it up best when he said, "I can't think of another professional who brings as wide an offering of insights and resources with as much humor and heart as Stacey does." Connect with me, Stacey Heller, at StaceyConnects.com.
And we're back with Don't Ask Me to Talk. And yeah, interesting discussion as usual, as we get around to all the museums in the world, baby.
But I mean, I'm from the East Coast. I get to the East Coast. You
Sure.
like going to, England and Ireland, and
Yep.
generally you're pretty good about like checking things out. So that's what I mean by getting around.
I gotcha. And speaking of getting around, we've got to go shortly. But before we do, we really got to pick out. We got to spin the wheel. Topics. And figure out what we're talking about on the next episode of Don't Ask Me to Talk.
It's always so exciting.
All right. Song in shower.
Oh, that's easy. What's your go-to song to sing in the shower? I have a few. Because of course I do.
Yeah. I just, how is that gonna, I don't know how that's gonna be a full segment. But
Oh, don't you worry your pretty little head, Eric.
don't ask us to talk, of course.
Exactly.
We'll manage to fill 20 minutes talking about what songs we sing in the shower. I don't know how, but it'll happen, no doubt.
It will totally happen. Anyway, all right. Well, hey, don't run over any more nests, and I will try not to get dive bombed by birds as well. And hey, don't ask me to talk until next week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're crushing morning miles or sprinting through back-to-back meetings, give your body the energy, protein, and power it needs to help you conquer your goals. Only at Smoothie King.